Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Good to see you all. Welcome to our services tonight. Welcome to all of you joining on the stream. Tonight, we're blessed again to have with us Dr. Steve Kramer, who will be leading us through the service and providing the Devar Torah for this evening, as well as the spectacular Kol Zimra. You got a hand already. That's fabulous. So let's join together and welcome Shabbat on page 128 with Hine Matov.
Shevet hachim gam yachad, hine matov u'manahim. 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 Shevet hachim gam yachad.
We welcome the Sabbath now with the kindling of the Shabbat lights. I would like to invite Audrey and Mark to kindle the Sabbath lights as we turn to pages 120 and 121.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us, as their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light. So may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Eloheinu melech olam, asher kiddushanu, mitzvosov, mitzivanu, lahadlik ner, shel Shabbat.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hails us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner, lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Thank you. On page 124, we read together, "We enter this sanctuary to welcome Shabbat. Within these walls, we sit surrounded by numberless generations. Our ancestors built the synagogue as a visible sign of God's presence in their midst. Throughout our long history and our endless wanderings, it has endured, a beacon of truth, love, and justice for all humanity. Its presence guided our ancestors to lives of righteousness, holding up to them the vision of their truest selves. Now we, in our turn, come into the sanctuary to affirm the sacredness of our lives. May we enter this place in peace. May holiness wrap around us as we cross its threshold. Weariness, doubt, the flaws within our human hearts, the harshness of the weak, let these drop away at the door. In the brightness of Shabbat, let peace settle upon us as we lift our hearts in prayer. Please turn to page 138 for Lecha Dodi.
Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela, shamu v'zachor b'dibur echad, yishme'anu el hameyuchad, Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, L'Shem Tiferet v'Nitila, Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela, Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela, Likrat Kala Nechuvel Necha, Ki Mekol Melacha, Merosh Mekedem Nesucha, Sof Maaseh B'Makshav Nitchila, Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Boi v'shalom hateret ba'ala, Gam b'simcha u'v'tzola, Tochem u'ne'am segula, Boi chala, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela.
We turn to page 144 for the Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabba, Bi'alma divorach idute v'hamlik machute, B'chayechon u'vyamechon, u'chayed kol bet Yisrael, B'agala, B'agala, u'v'zman kariv, v'himeru Amen. Yeshemel haba mevarach, le'alam ulal me'amaya, yitzbarach, yitzbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpahar, v'yitromam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitatar, v'yitaleh, Biet halal, shemed kodesham yirichu, le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushmekata v'nechemata, hadamir han mi'alma, ve'yimeru. Amen.
Please rise for the call to worship on page 146.
Baruch hu et Adonai, hamevonach. Baruch Adonai, hamevonach, le'olam va'ed.
We read together on page 149. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Amariv Aravim.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה, נגה יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכות
be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך. ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בהם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להות על ידיך והיו נטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We read together on page 155. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorpost of your house or outside of your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, and so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai your God. We read responsively on page 157. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth.
Thy heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love.
From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves in your way.
Inspired by prophets, instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces.
Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to work for the day when the nations shall one in peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש. נורא תהילות, נורא תהילות, אוסף אלה. נורא תהילות, נורא תהילות, אוסף אלה. מלכותך ובניך, בוקע הים לפני משה ומרים. זליחנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך, לעולם ועד. אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך, Adonai et Yaakov, ug'elo meyad chazak mimenu. Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael.
We read together on page 159. Sing the song of men and women joined understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, the song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace.
Ushmor tzedkenu vo'enu lechaim u'leshalom me'ata ve'ad olam me'ata ve'ad olam me'ata ve'ad olam Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom ve'hamidenu shomrenu lechaim uferos aleinu sukkah shelamecha me'ata ve'ad olam me'ata ve'ad olam Ushmor tzedkenu vo'enu lechaim u'leshalom me'ata ve'ad olam me'ata ve'ad olam me'ata ve'ad olam.
We read together on the bottom of page 161. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, Aparis Sugat Shalom, Aleinu v'al kol Amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim.
V'shameru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ישראל אותי לעולם לעולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם לעולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, לדורותם ברית עולם.
We rise for the tefillah on page 164.
Adonai sefetai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel v'Eholea. האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומר חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך חוזר ומשיח ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. מחכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מנהג, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. On page 173, we read responsively. Disturb us, Adonai, ruffle us from our complacency. Make us dissatisfied with the peace of ignorance, the quietude which arises from a shunning of the horror, the defeat, the bitterness, and the poverty, physical and spiritual, of humans.
Shock us, Adonai, deny to us the false Shabbat, which gives the delusions of satisfaction amid a world of war and hatred.
Wake us, O God, and shake us from the sweet and sad poignancies rendered by half-forgotten melodies and rubric prayers of yesteryears.
Make us know that the border of the sanctuary is not the border of living, and the walls of
Disturb us, O God, and vex us. Let not your Shabbat be a day of torpor and slumber. Let it be a time to be stirred and spurred to action. Baruch atah Adonai, Makadesh HaShabbat.
Ritzeh Adonai Eloheinu be'amecha Yisrael u'tefilatam Tamid avodat Israel hamecha El karov lechol korehav pinel havadecha vichanenu shefach rochacha
Together we read on the top of page 177. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, Hatov Shemka Ulka Na'el Lahadot.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Hamcha Tasim Leolam Shalom Rav al Yisrael Hamcha tasim, tasim leolam, ki ata hu melech adon, lehol ha-shalom, ki ata hu melech adon, lehol ha-shalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Hamcha, tasim, tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Hamcha, tasim, tasim leolam. V'tov b'necha livarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, tasim, tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, tasim, tasim leolam. Tasim, tasim leolam.
We read together on the top of page 179. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the hands of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamvarich et Amo Yisrael Bashalom. We take a moment now to ask for God's healing for those in our congregation and community suffering from illness. Feel free to share the names of someone dear to you at this time. Stan Rudy, Marge Kramer. We turn to the bottom of page 371 for the Misha Bayrak.
Misha Bayrak avotenu mekor habracha of strength, who bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishemerach imotenu, mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We pause now for a moment of silent prayer. This week's Torah portion, Naso, is taken from Numbers and includes the universal priestly blessing. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord deal kindly and graciously with you. May the Lord bestow his favor upon you and grant you shalom, peace. The portion also describes spiritual challenges and ordeals that each of us must at some point face. We seek the truth. We seek the truth even if it will make us uncomfortable. And there are many parts of this Torah portion that make us uncomfortable. The Torah talks about being tested, humbled, and refined by the truth, always when our defenses are stripped away. For example, if someone who knows you well tells you, "You're too bossy," or "You're too," well, you can fill in the blank. And you kind of know that this is accurate. It may be uncomfortable to hear, but you need to take it in the spirit in which it was intended, to improve yourself. Now, you could be defensive about the whole matter, but the Torah doesn't go there. The portion closes with the perspective on life which must be limited to the personal. I do not have the permission to see someone else's life this way. nor to interpret their hardship as a gift to me. Certainly not. Compassion is the correct response to the suffering of others. Bringing this to the present, I offer you the following. You all knew who Maya Angelou was, and you most likely know one of her famous quotes. I have learned people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Well, there was a lesser-known author, a poet, in the mid-20th century. His name was Omar Washington. He died around 1970. His poem was called, I Have Learned. It goes like this. I have learned that you cannot make someone love you. All you can do is be someone who can be loved. The rest is up to them. I have learned that it is not what you have in your life, but who you have in your life that counts. I have learned that you should never ruin an apology with an excuse. I've learned that it takes years to build up trust and only seconds to destroy it. I've learned that you can get by on charm for about 15 minutes. After that, you'd better know something. I've learned that you should always leave loved ones with loving words. It may be the last time you see them. I've learned that you can keep going long after you can't. I've learned that regardless of how hot and steamy a relationship is at first, the passion fades and there better be something else to take its place. I've learned that heroes are the people who do what has to be done when it needs to be done, regardless of the consequences. I've learned that my best friend and I can do anything or nothing and have the best time. I've learned that sometimes when I'm angry, I have the right to be angry, but that doesn't give me the right to be cruel. I've learned that maturity has more to do on what types of experiences you've had and what you've learned from them, and less to do with how many birthdays you've celebrated. I've learned that you should never tell a child their dreams are unlikely or outlandish. Few things are more humiliating, and what a tragedy it would be if they believed it. I've learned that it isn't always enough to be forgiven by others. Sometimes you need to learn to forgive yourself. I've learned that our background and circumstances may have influenced who we are, but we are responsible for who we become. I've learned that just because two people argue, it doesn't mean they don't love each other, and just because they don't argue, it doesn't mean they do. I've learned that two people can look at the exact same thing and see something totally different. I have learned that credentials on the wall do not make you a decent human being. I have learned to love and be loved. In closing, let me add the following. When I was looking at this I Have Learned poem and wondering if it was good enough to share with you this evening, I struggled. Would it bore you silly? But these verses brought back vivid memories of people I cherish who are no longer with me. They also brought back memories of people who are still with me, but not memories. I have learned that this is reason enough to hear it. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. We have a few announcements. Andrew.
I get to double as your friendly board representative tonight. Where are they? There they are. Okay. The Toledo Jewish community is participating in the 2022 Habitat Faith Build, and the first day of building will be this coming Tuesday, June 14th. There's a blessing ceremony at 8:30 and will last till about 9, after which a volunteer team will begin working, and they would love to have more volunteers to help build if possible. Everyone is invited to the blessing, which will be at 641 Favony, Favony, Road in Holland, Ohio. And if you would like to know more information or a contact person to get more information, please see me afterwards at Kiddush. There's a phone number for the representative from the Maumee Valley Habitat for Humanity. Save the date, next week. You've been waiting all this time. Annual congregational meeting. Oh, come on, I was supposed to hear a cheer after that one. Aren't you excited? Oh, there we go, thank you. I can rest tonight. 5:15 is the meeting, followed by Shabbat services and installation of the new board at 6. Most importantly, dinner following, catered by Beirut. So if you would like to come, please email the temple office by tomorrow to make reservations to come to the dinner. Saturday, June 18th at 9:30 a.m., there's going to be a Tot Shabbat and family yoga and family brunch, followed by the same day, June 18th at 10:30 a.m., there's going to be a Shabbat morning yoga and brunch. Reservations are needed for both by June 15th. Again, contact the office or directly to Wendy Payne. Shabbat Shalom.
We turn to our concluding prayers as we rise for the Aleinu on the bottom of page 586. Seated. Together on page 589. Let the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. O may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your realm be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever. 597, our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. At this sacred moment of our Sabbath worship, we think lovingly of Robert Weinman, taken this past week. We also name at this time those whose yahrzeits, the anniversary of whose passing occurs on this Shabbat, as we recall Naomi Barron, Leah Britz, Lisa Doran Chester, Milton Sorowski, Stanley Dolgen, Meyer M. Epstein, Harvey L. Fain, Joseph Featherman, Gerald Feldstein, Dr. Burl Fine, Irvin Frankel, Ruth Levitt Friedman, Dina W. Friedman, Richard Green, Molly Shaw Green, Robert Greenwald, Lillian L. Helburn, Joseph Jacobs, Martha Jacoby, Bernard Kalnitz, Julian M. Kaplan, Ben R. Lakin, Esther Levi, Naomi G. Rapport, Marilyn Reinstein, Jack Romanoff Jr., Sam L. Siegel, Gary Sloan, Sarah F. Steinem, Abe H. Stockstiel, Joanne Stockstiel, Ruth Staller, Fayette Tolson, Blossom Romanoff Truhaft, Anna Van Balen, Sadie S. Wapner, Phyllis Weinstein, Marlene Weissman. We rise now and sanctify the names of God with the words of the Kaddish found on page 598.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברך ידותי וימליך מלכותי,
Kai Kon of Yomekon, Beit Israel, Bagala Uzman Kariv, Yimru Amen, Yehi Shemei Rabbah, Yirak Le'olam Omea Omea, Yitbarak, Yishtabach, Yitbar, Yitroman, Yitnaseh, Yithadar, Yithalev, Yithalal, Shemei Shabrihu, Le'el Menkal, Yitatav, Tush Bakatav, V'nechmata, Dami Ram, V'yama, V'yimru Amen, Yehesh Lama Rabin Shemaya, Kayim Aleinu, V'yakol Yisrael, V'yimru Amen. Osei Shalom B'ramav, Uyasei Shalom, Aleinu, V'yakol Yisrael, V'yimru Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who are bereaved, here and everywhere, as together we say, Amen. We remain standing for our final hymn, Ad Yavo Shalom Aleinu, on the bottom of page 657.
Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam. Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, ve'al kulam. Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, ve'al kulam.
I would like to thank Cole Zimra, Andy, and Bob. Shabbat Shalom to you all.
Shabbat shalom.
Please join us for Kiddush in the foyer, right about over there, that away.
Would you like me to empty it? No, I'm good to see you.